the dual.
It's not now.
I am Ty G. Jones, Governance and Education Chair for NAPSE, and I am honored today to present to you Big Problems Require Big Solutions, Covington Interest in Kids. Today we have with us Covington Mayor Joseph Meyer and also Mary Kay Conley. Mayor Meyer is a 39-year career in public service in Kentucky and has been dominated by education-related roles on the local, state, and national levels. 15 years in the Kentucky General Assembly, where he chaired the Senate Education Committee during the early years of KERA, Kentucky's nationally recognized and monumental Education Reform Act. Secretary of the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet under Governor Steve Beshear, where Meyer helped reorganize the state's secondary, career, and technical education system, established Kentucky's Early Childhood Advisory Council and the Governor's Office of Early Childhood, and create the Center for Education and Workforce Statistics. His past roles on the Covington Board of Education and as legal counsel for 2 Kentucky school districts. His membership on the Southern Regional Education Board and the Education Commission of the states. Been very busy on these 39 years. Currently in his 5th term as mayor of Covington, the state's 5th largest city located across the Ohio River from Cincinnati, Meyer continues to focus on education as the best way to empower residents and strengthen the local economy. Mayor Meyer earned a bachelor's degree from Bellarmine University in Louisville, a master's in urban affairs from St. Louis University, and a law degree from Salmon P. Chase College of Law. He also completed the program for senior executives in the state and local governments at Harvard University. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mayor Meyer, and assisting him today is going to be Mary Kay Conley. Has 30+ years of experience as a teacher, school counselor, higher education student supervisor, community engagement professional, and nonprofit program director. Mary Kay has used her skills in design, planning, training, and cross-sector coalition building to direct Read Ready Covington since its 2018 inception. Her professional and volunteer careers reflect her commitment to promoting student opportunity through equity and excellence in education for all children. Mary Kay believes success will be accomplished through the effective collaboration with families, teachers, administrators, social service professionals, health providers, business, and neighborhood groups. Mary Kay is a graduate of Northern Kentucky University and Xavier University with additional coursework from the University of Cincinnati and the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. Again, I present to you Mayor Meyer and Mary Kay Conley. Mayor Meyer.
All right, Ty, thanks for our introductions. We're really excited to be with you all today to talk about 2 programs, 2 approaches that the City of Covington has undertaken to better enable our people to participate in the education systems, to get ready for school, and generally provide opportunities for people to improve the quality of their lives. Now, Mary Kay has given me a note that she wants to remind everybody if you have questions along the way, be sure to raise the chat, to use the chat or raise your hand features if you want to have ask any questions, and be sure to mute yourself to avoid audio issues for the folks who are observing us this afternoon. So, next slide. I want to start off with just tell you a little bit about Covington. You can read the statistics there. Overall, we are more diverse than most cities in Kentucky. We are considerably less diverse than the USA as a whole, as a community. In our public school system, it's a different question. The white Americans constitute only 40% of the school district population. African Americans are 28%, Hispanic Americans, 21%, 2 or more races, 11%. So we are a very diverse school system by Kentucky standards. We have a lot of children in poverty. 49% of the children under age 4 in our city are living in poverty. And of those age 5 through 14, 42% are in poverty. And these numbers have gotten only worse due to the pandemic. Our school system is basically 90% free and reduced lunch, which has the highest incidence of student poverty of any school district in the state of Kentucky. And importantly, when it comes to the topic of school readiness, kindergarten readiness, only 32% of the children who start kindergarten are deemed school ready. So next slide, please. The bottom line is to the Covington approach is to recognize that early literacy is not the responsibility of the school system. In fact, it's not anybody's responsibility from a systemic point of view. And we know that if children start behind, they generally finish behind and seldom catch up. So we believe that in order to help our children have a better opportunity at success in school, we have to have them better prepared to even begin a kindergarten. And generally our approach is to try to reach out and to engage the entire community of Covington and make early literacy a community value. It's not a school value. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's all of us working together and saying that we need to have our children reading and familiar with numbers and letters and writing concepts even before they begin kindergarten. Next slide, please. So the key elements of our Read Ready Covington program involve the use of Footsteps to Brilliance, which is an app for ages 3 through grade 3 that has all of what you need to know and to be prepared for reading and numbers. And it's also bilingual, so you can flip back and forth between English and Spanish. And that is supplemented by a public relations campaign. The opening slide, you saw some murals that we have painted on the sides of buildings throughout the city, advocating early literacy, encouraging parents to read to their children. This is the sort of thing that a city doesn't do by itself. We worked with a lot of partner community organizations to get them on board to promote the value, to be advocates and supporters of early literacy throughout the city. And we have a whole number of events and activities that we've undertaken in the past few years to get our point across throughout the city. Now, here are an example of the types of organizations that we have working with the city. It's important to note that we are working with the school board because, again, the school district is responsible for kids from kindergarten on, not before. So we felt that the preschool space is an appropriate space where Covington can get engaged with a program that supports and abets the school district's work without getting into the day-to-day business of their world of education. So I'd like to turn this over now to Mary Kay so that she can walk through a lot of the details of the Read Ready Covington program with you. And let me point out that the success of any program requires a really good leader. And Mary Kay Connolly has proven to be just an extraordinary leader in developing and advocating for and helping Read Ready Covington progress. So Mary Kay.
Thank you, Mayor Meyer. And that's very kind to say. And I would tag that this has been a true community collaboration over time. And we are blessed in this region and in this state because there is a great deal of collaboration through regionally with our Northern Kentucky Education Council, locally in Covington with the Public private and parochial schools and Covington Partners, Community Action Commission, all of those listed. And then even at the state level, I see on our list, I see Bridget's on with the Pritchard Committee for Educational Excellence, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that has really done a great deal of advocacy in the city or in the state of Kentucky. So those are just a few of the many entities that are making a difference, that are really moving the dial. So Mayor Meyer mentioned that these first four elements of, staffing. Yes, we have a director, myself, and last year we also had a AmeriCorps Vista member, and that can also expand your program. So think of creative ways to do that. High school students, AmeriCorps, college interns, et cetera, that can help expand your program. The dual app, thanks to Footsteps and Clever Kids, we will have a license into perpetuity because the city has purchased that opportunity, and we piggybacked on the school district in a grant they had for the first 2 years that we then added to that 3 years for this opportunity. We included with that trainings and consultation, training from our Footsteps colleagues, but also locally to provide that we can go in the schools, and I've worked with teachers individually in teams. The communication or PR campaign, we know, as you do, that it's not enough to provide information. It has to be a call to action. You can see one of our little yard signs, be a hero, read together daily. That's also on our big mural, thanks to See Forward, as a community spotlight. The need to change behavior is really what we're looking at, not just raise awareness, but change behavior. And then the last thing that he didn't mention that we're also is key to this is monitoring the progress and looking at the outcomes both along the way, as well as our end results. So once we've got that together, then we look at our key populations. We want to serve everyone in the geographic footprint of Covington. It's a pretty large city. It's the largest in Northern Kentucky. And yet we want to target key populations, our most vulnerable families. And so in doing that, we work with those that you see on the screen and many others. And I just want to point out a couple of them. At the launch for Read Ready Covington, the Notre Dame Urban Education Center heard that there was a need for more preschool in the community because you have to qualify to attend James E. Biggs, and they do a great job, but some children don't qualify, but they still would benefit from preschool. So they started one. So she listened to the mayor, heard the facts, and found out that there's something we can do early on, and they started a program. Also, in about that time, there was a rising need and interest in starting a program or a center to serve our Latinx community. And thank you to Leo Calderon and Irene Encarnacion, because they and their board started Esperanza Center. In January of 2018, they started with part-time administrator, Irene, and student interns. And now they have a full-time executive director, and they have a staff member plus the interns and volunteers. They serve hundreds of families each month and in multiple different ways. And the city was able to help with that by providing some initial technology, by offering space, finding space for them, and then ongoing, we provide training and resources and keep up with them. They have done a tremendous job. So each of these instances, the Housing Authority and Section 8, all of these groups are already doing things, and it wasn't our intention to duplicate anything, but to lift each other up, to see where we can collaborate and then have a deeper impact together, or to find the areas where we could do something that had not been done before, like Section 8, where the inspectors took the United Way My Pre-K backpacks to the families when they were doing inspections. They know where there are young children, and they could bring these materials to families in their apartment at the same time and give them some resources, because sometimes those families can be kind of the hidden families that don't receive resources. Neighborhood groups have been great with messaging and sharing for events. So going on, once we have the populations, then we also want to make sure that our educators are fully supported. And this is Miss Sandra Davia Ashcraft, and she is an EL teacher at Biggs, James E. Biggs Preschool. And this is what her response was to receiving the resources.
We have an orientation with parents at the beginning of each school year. And I talk about footsteps to brilliance. And they hear that it's an application. And the first thought is like, how much? Right? And once I explain to them that it's free for them to use, so they're like, oh, okay, I like that. So then I'm like, I'm listening. Tell me more about the application. So it's really good for them because they don't have to spend any money. For me as an educator, that's really good too, because we don't have to use our own money either, or the school money. I was working online with one of my students. He said, Miss Sandra, I love Footsteps to Brilliance now that I know how to use it. Before he didn't have a device, and then he got one. So he got to explore the application, and now he has read about over 200 books.
And so we, working with our educators in preschool through third grade, we have seen a huge increase over the last 3 years, coming up on 3 years now. But we want to also be out in the community. And so you'll see, these are just shots of a few of the things we do. And you may have tried these in your community. If you have suggestions or recommendations, comments, please do add them in the chat about some of the things. These are just snippets to give you an idea of the diversity of the work that we're doing. With the Housing Authority, we had a fall literacy fest and we brought the zoo in. That was a big hit and had a good turnout as a result. And we had over 10 different partners bringing early childhood education information and experiences and fun for the kids to that event. The lower picture you'll see is a shared reading or dialogic reading demonstration and conversation with families. We did this at the Housing Authority community, as well as a Head Start program in conjunction with a book fair that we did. You'll see the pools. We take tablets to the pools in the summer and let the kids use them and demonstrate for parents to help them explore. We have a photo booth that we take out to different events and share with families. And then we have the opportunity to have conversations there at those and hand out materials. One of the things we did with the shared reading was a book fair. It started with donated books from 2 different YMCAs that answered the call at our launch and donated hundreds of books. The second year, we partnered with Scholastic Books and our Northern Kentucky Community Action Committee. And with that, we had a book fair where families did not have to purchase the books. They got to shop, wrap the gifts with the help of firefighters and EMT recruits, and learn a little bit about how to use shared reading. And then the third year, because of COVID, we couldn't do that. We still worked with Eastside, and thanks to a grant from the Duke Energy Foundation, we worked with families, some parents, the family advocate, and myself, and we put together a different kind of book list. It wasn't just the traditional books. We looked for books that looked like the children that were reading them. Mixed or Hair Love, or and as well as some of the traditional books. And these are just some shots of the children after they've received their books. They got to order what books they wanted, and it was a big success. So that was a virtual book fair since we couldn't be in person. But we know this is community, and I think Miss Sandra says it very nicely, what that partnership looks like.
I think it's very important that when communities come together and they support education, and because we cannot do it without the community. We cannot support parents just being in the classrooms. Is that connection from school, home, community, working together. So I think the energy is positive, and I think more parents are willing to maybe not go the extra mile, but do what it takes to succeed and help the kids. You know, they're like, hey, I can do this now.
And Ms. Sandra does work with our with EL students in her virtual classroom. She is completely virtual this year. And that has been a real challenge for everybody, we know, but she has found ways to record and to share her lessons out even, and she does a lovely job. Again, if you have comments or suggestions, I know that a couple people have to leave for board meetings. If you have anything to share that we're missing, please do share it in the chat because that will be available later on. Some of the other things we've done is we've expanded little free libraries. We have about 15 in the city now. We have 3 more that will be going up in another area of the community. But you'll see we have healthcare, we have businesses like a laundromat, we have faith groups that are hosting them, neighborhoods and schools. And when COVID hit, we also started distributing books through just the lunchtime programs. When families would come pick up lunches, we would have books of boxes of books and they could select those. We're building libraries. We talk a lot about food deserts, but there are also book deserts. And every child needs a home library. We know that just a selection of books can raise the opportunity for children and the outcomes. And then finally, we wanted things that were outdoor, that were fun and interactive for families. And what you're going to see is a public service announcement that describes our 5 different neighborhood A to Z walking tours. So I'll let you watch that.
Learning has always been an important part of a child's life, and Covington families now have more ways to spark their child's curiosity and feed their brains with fun, interactive things to do together. Read Ready Covington is excited to introduce an A through Z word scavenger hunt to 5 different Covington neighborhoods. Through this interactive experience, kids search for word signs that help build vocabulary, as well as improving listening and observation skills. To enhance the learning and creative experience, kids can ask their school, library, or Read Ready Covington for a cool passport so they can record each word and picture. Once a child completes all the pages in the passport and the parent signs the passport, they can turn it in to receive cool prizes from Read Ready Covington. Read Ready Covington invites families to complete any of the 5 Covington scavenger hunts, along with continuing to use Footsteps to Brilliance, Clever Kids University apps, find them in ground games, sticker signs, and little free libraries located all over town. Taking a walk and talking with your kids is a great way to build positive relationships, both within your family and in the community. Developing strong social, creative, and academic skills helps every child in life. It can start right now. Hey Covington families, we challenge you to feed your child's brain with these fun activities along with reading together daily. Request a passport or find out more from info@readreadycov.com.
So that is something that we're actually going to build up on more in April and May. April 10th, we have a walking tour scavenger hunt we're going to be hosting with many, many partners. And we're going to put QR codes, what you call Easter eggs, on each of those signs with resources that are available in town, as well as registering for school for next fall. Because as many of you are experiencing, we have children that did not register for school this year. So preschool and kindergarten will look very different this coming year. When COVID, in March of 2020, Mayor Meyer was in a meeting with the school district, and we had already started a citywide reading challenge called Read Across Covington, but Mayor Meyer decided to sweeten the pot, and he offered $500 prizes for children. We've done this twice now. We did it last spring and we did it again in November, December of 2020 for the winter reading challenge. And each time usage of Footsteps to Brilliance and Clever Kids University jumped exponentially. In November and December, we had over 500 5,560,000 word exposure, over 1,800 books, and 7,000 activities that were participated in. The nice thing about this is the children received not only the check, they also received games and activities. And we also honored the teachers that are working very hard this year. So each of their teachers was recognized with a gift package as well. Other times we give out reading bundles for participation in events or for raffles. With our November and December challenge, the great thing is we expanded it. It wasn't just the top users, but we also had a random winner each week of those 7 weeks. And those are children that read books and did activities for at least 75 minutes each week. That's 15 minutes 5 times a week. And we feel that that's an appropriate amount for this age group. And we had some very happy children for that. The other thing we did during COVID is we had the ground games that you see the little boy on the right. And this is at Behringer Crawford Museum. We have 25 of those around town, 4 different designs, but we knew that we wanted families to have interactive things to do away from the computer as well. So we combined the story Shapes Everywhere, which is in Footsteps to Brilliance, and the activities with a kit. And it's a sidewalk chalk kit. So it has shapes that they cut out for fine motor development. They trace them, they color, they got chalk in it, and then they have 4 activity cards that describe, that give them challenges to answer or to do. So those are some of the things that we have done. As a result, you can see each year from 2018 through 2020, we monitor the usage, and we have seen an improvement every year upon each year before. And we are still on par for doing that through 2021. But this gives you a little, just a little snapshot of some of the things that we are doing. Mayor Meyer is going to take over now and talk about how we knew that we still had some barriers with access and tools. And this is how Covington responded to that.
I think you can tell from the presentation that Footsteps to Brilliance and our Read Ready Covington is truly a community-wide undertaking, and it's proving to be hugely beneficial for our young people. A big missing piece, of course, is the digital divide. Mary Kay, you want to go to the next slide? Previous.
That's it.
There we are. When our school districts went to virtual learning, we had a huge problem in Covington. As we talked about in the introduction, Covington has a very significant student poverty issue. And the superintendent of the Covington Public Schools told us that 40% of the students in Covington lacked regular internet access and could not participate in virtual teaching and learning exercises. And we already know that children in poverty have some of the greatest challenges in succeeding in school. There's a huge achievement gap, and allowing children to go for months and perhaps longer without any real access to education is immensely detrimental to their long-term well-being. We know that in addition to the educational component, internet access is a fundamental need in today's society. Education, obviously, but if you want to apply for a job, if you want to get information, if you want to shop, if you want to engage in healthcare, if you want to broaden your social connections, if you want to have banking and financial health, if you want to work from home, you need to have solid internet access. So with the CARES money and the tremendous immediate need of the educational system, we thought that we could close the gap on some of these root conditions that have contributed to our economic, racial, and social and educational inequality by providing free internet access to most of the people of Covington. Next slide, Mary Kay.
Sorry, I was checking the chat.
The concept of Covington Connect was actually pretty basic. Could provide fiber network access to parts of the city that didn't have it. And this is important because fiber is a private sector activity. And Covington, Cincinnati Bell provided fiber to all the parts of the city where they could expect a reasonable return. Unfortunately, they can't expect a reasonable return on the poorest parts of the city. So those parts of the city did not have any fiber access. That part needed to be addressed. We wanted to install the 124 Wi-Fi access points so that everybody in the city could have reasonable access to the internet. But having internet access by itself is also not enough because you need to have devices that are appropriate to it. So we made an arrangement with a charity from Houston, Texas, to provide up to 1,900 computers for free to eligible families in Covington, focusing on the families who had school-age children and a lack of financial resources. And then we went ahead and worked with other agencies to help provide the basic support on actually how to use the computers and use the internet. Not all of us have grandchildren who are there to help us do this sort of activities. So we needed to make sure that the community could adjust and help our residents. So next slide. The city didn't do this alone. And once again, we organized a broad partnership that included public sector partners, private sector partners, and nonprofit agencies, so that we worked once again with the Board of Education to help them with this internet access that they could then use in their virtual teaching and learning programs. We engaged the Housing Authority of Covington. We have about 600 units with lots of kids who had little in the way of Wi-Fi and internet access. So the Housing Authority provided and paid for free Wi-Fi to the two largest housing projects in the city. On the private sector, we've got Cincinnati Bell agreed to provide at their cost for all of the fiber to the underserved or unserved parts of the city so that we could extend this program citywide. Two local companies, Blair Technology and Regadget, worked with CompuDot and brought CompuDot to our attention. And CompuDot is the agency that, of course, gave us the free computers. And then we work with the Community Action Commission. They have a program to train people in computer use. We work with Renaissance Covington, one of our business advocacy organizations, to engage more of the business community in supporting this. We work with the Latino Center, Esperanza, to engage in outreach so that people would be able to take advantage of the opportunities that this program presented. Next slide. The total investment in this project wound up being about $3.2 million. Covington used $1.4 million in CARES money to pay for all of the Wi-Fi applications and the operating cost for 5 years. So we not only installed the Wi-Fi access points, but we've paid 100% of the operating cost for the next 5 years, eliminating for the foreseeable future all the questions about how are we going to pay for this. And part of our rationale for the 5 years was to recognize that technology changes very, very quickly. So by the time 5 years are up, we know technology is going to change. So at that time, we can revisit the provision of the service and see how we can upgrade it. You see the value of what Cincinnati Bell invested in our community. And then, of course, the funding that we raised so that CompuDot could give away the free computers. We decided where to place the Wi-Fi access points based on the residency of students in the Covington public school system. So we reached out to the school district. we got the addresses of all their students. We laid them out on the map. Then we overlaid the potential Wi-Fi access points so that we could make sure that as many students as possible would be able to access our Wi-Fi system and our internet's opportunities. You'll notice that there are some fairly large parts of Covington without any access points. Generally, that's because they are large public parks or because they're parts of the housing authority, which has got an independent mapping capability, or because they're industrial parts of the city. So in effect, we do have the whole city covered here. The computer distribution program was really interesting. It required an online registration. We encouraged the schools, Esperanza, our neighborhood and community organizations to get their folks registered to participate in the program. And then once people were registered, we went through a lottery where names were pulled from the hat and eligible people were given a date and a time to come and pick up their computers. Because we're in the middle of COVID, we couldn't do it the normal way. So you can see here from the pictures that we organized distributions where people just drove up in their cars, got their names checked, and their computer was put in their car, and they could drive home and begin this grand experiment. So how's this whole thing working so far? Next slide, Mary Kay. The Housing Authority was operational about the 1st of October. And what we've seen in the first 100 days that the system was operational, 1,277 unique users used the Wi-Fi 89,000 times. So we're averaging 28,000 sessions per month, and each session has a duration of about an hour and 14 minutes. Our implementation on the city side is still a little bit of a work in progress. The system wasn't supposed to be completed until the 1st of January. And I think it actually wasn't completed for the final piece until just a week or so ago. And so we still have some more publicity to do. We need to get our signs up in the various neighborhoods. We need to constantly remind people about the availability of the service. But we've already seen almost 1,200 people use the Wi-Fi 22,800 times for an average of 53 minutes per session. One of the things that the system gives us is other opportunities for the city. And those opportunities include just city-related opportunities where we can come up with smart parking solutions, where we can use this to communicate better with our city residents, where we can have smart lighting opportunities throughout the city. So there are all kinds of opportunities with the free Wi-Fi system that are over and above the benefits for our students and for their parents that we have yet to take advantage of, but we will explore and use over time. Next slide.
Sorry.
Ebony is going to tell us what the Wi-Fi program has meant to her.
My clicker is working funny. Sorry
The free
about that.
Wi-Fi connection, the resources they have in City Futures has been wonderful for me and my children. We get to go on the internet. We get to do schoolwork. I get to look up jobs because I'm still looking for a job. It's just today. Even doctor's appointments. All that time spent when we could do face-to-face interview online. And my could see teachers online. We could do tutoring online. Things of that nature. So helped out. Impact was they really helped us a lot. I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get up and do this every day. I get up, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful.
So Ebony is one of our residents of City Heights, and she was really struggling for both herself and for her child. And so this took her from hopeless to hopeful. And there's no greater reward than seeing this type of program provide such a positive benefit for the lives of the people in our community who are facing some really significant challenges. So with that, we'll open this up to questions from you all. And
I want to be sure we answer David's question. David asked about key measurements, and that's an excellent and vital piece. Ongoing is, of course, monitoring the footsteps of brilliance and clever kids. We've also been looking at using the dibbles, and from that we've looked at those who have used footsteps for a period of time each week compared to those who were not. So over the preschool, kindergarten, first and second grade, for dibbles, and we saw that there was an increase for those who were using dibbles, or for those who were using footsteps, that their dibble scores were higher. Long term, we would use dibbles and we would use Brigance. Brigance is, as many of you know, a screener for kindergarten readiness. And so a lot of those things are up in the air at this point because of the last year or more, and the testing or the lack of testing that we could do. So David, those are some of the things that we are using, and there are some things that each site is using as well that helps them. Kathy, you mentioned about initiatives growing. Yeah, I think that has to do with a lot. I mean, there are so many people that did porch drops and worked very hard to try to keep families engaged. And we always want to do more. But I think the ability for a city to engage a lot of people and to know that that investment is vital to our city and to our community and to our individual families is just vital. So let's see, any other questions? Thank you for the comments also in the chat. Appreciate it. We have a board member, Tom, from Covington Independent Schools, and he's a huge supporter of the community and kids. Leo was on, he's from with Esperanza, and their leadership is serving the Latino community in just outstanding ways. Any other questions? You can unmute yourself. Any questions you have? Let's see. I'm not sure if I missed everything, caught everything. Thank you. A big shout out to Kim Tafiti. She is our representative from Footsteps, and we meet monthly, and she provides just support and ideas. And we really couldn't have done this without all the great support from Footsteps to Brilliance. And we really like that comprehensive approach with the technology, that it's on the go, that they can download it and not need Wi-Fi at home, but also to have print books and to have experiences. And we do a lot of those things, like in the summer. This year, we're going to be adding story walks in the community in various places through Boys and Girls Club and at the public pools. I have to give a shout out to Parks and Rec for all of the collaboration they have shared with us as well.
Mary Kay, we've got one question that was directed at me here is what motivated you as mayor to take on a project in education? And do you know of many elected officials who are doing something similar? You know, we want Covington to be a city of opportunity for all of our residents. And we know we've got a lot of residents that are facing a lot of challenge. And I know of only two ways to get out of poverty: get a good education and get a good job. And it's a lot easier to get a good job if you get a good education. And we're tired and frustrated of the fact that so many of our children are so far behind that when they start, that they have no chance realistically to catch up. I mean, we're all aware of the achievement gap that exists with children of color, children of poverty, and the challenges they face in public school. Well, our education systems are quite limited. You know, they're actually K through 12. And the stuff outside that is not part of their worldview. So we believe that if we want to promote the welfare of our children and really be the city of opportunity, then helping our children become ready to succeed in school is a fundamental element. The more we do of that, the more we give those children the opportunity to be successful in school. And when it comes to the Wi-Fi project, yeah, we're helping the kids, but we are really helping their parents too, by giving them devices, by giving them access to the internet, by allowing them to do what they need to do for apply for jobs, to improve their qualifications for work. Yeah, again, it's giving people the opportunity. We can't make people take advantage of the opportunity, but we can provide them the circumstances so that if they're motivated, they can become more full participants in the America that we all know, both in terms of technology and our economic circumstances. So we'll give folks the opportunity to the best of our ability and the support, and really hope and pray that they take advantage of it. And we think that this sends a really strong positive message to all of our residents, both those in great need and for the others, because it says that our city cares for all people, regardless of all of the usual kind of classifications that we put people in.
Right. Lois asked, have other cities looked at this as a model? For Reed Ready Covington, that is ultimately what I always told Mayor Meyer is our goal. My goal would be, can we replicate it for other cities that can use it? But I think Mayor Meyer can really speak to Covington Connect and how it has impacted other cities.
Well, other cities have reached out to ask about the Covington Connect, how we did it, why we did it. And I know that the city of Dayton, Ohio, one of our neighbors to the north, about 50 miles away from here, has adopted the Covington Connect model to the city of Dayton, including for their housing authority, to the point that the Dayton, Ohio Housing Authority is using the contracts that were negotiated by the Housing Authority of Covington for the provision of broadband to provide that same wireless opportunity to their housing authorities residents. And I know that Cincinnati Bell has been working with a number of other cities that have expressed interest in replicating this. You know, we're at a point in time with the with the CARES Act money, with the new stimulus that's coming down, with the interest in providing broadband throughout our country, that our communities will have the resources to bridge this digital divide and make sure that all of our residents, regardless of their income level, have access to the internet and technology. We might be a little bit on the cutting edge, and so we're glad to experiment with it and see what the pitfalls and issues and problems are. But we know other cities and communities will pick up the challenge and make this possible for their residents too.
Thank you. Thank you. There are a couple other comments. Joanne Gravel, you asked about fathers. That is an excellent question. Yes, when we have we done this specifically? No, but we have worked with the Born Learning Academies. Multiple partners have done this. Not Reed Ready isn't instigating this, but we are supporting the work they are doing through Born Learning Academies, and both mothers and fathers are represented there, and I've been really pleased and happy to see some of those experiences. We're always looking for more. And that's one of the reasons we did the new book fair, is that we had stories about dads taking care of little girls' hair instead of moms doing that. And something that dad can share with a child. Dr. Spencer, you asked what learnings we have. Something I didn't talk about earlier, because I know we have so much to share in this time and we're running over now. So we'll stay on and answer any questions people have. You're also welcome to contact us and ask questions. We'll be happy to share and give us your comments and things that you have learned. But to your point, Dr. Spencer, learnings, one of the things that I think helped me is that I was given time at the beginning to listen, to meet with people and listen, to find out what they were already doing, to find out where we can support what they're doing and where we can fill in gaps and make a difference. And I think having those listening sessions were really, really important. I don't know that I would do that differently, but I think that you can never listen enough. Speak more about establishment of the internet connectivity to the community is something Ty asked us to do. Mayor, do you want to take that? About the connectivity, he's asking about the establishment of that. How?
Well, you know, Once we decided, based on the residency of the students in public schools, what area we wanted to put the Wi-Fi access points in, we reached out to property owners in those areas, be they businesses or residents, and asked for permission to attach these appliances to their property at no charge to the city. And I'm very happy to say that some 90% or so of the people we approached agreed readily to do it. And as a result, we have 125 of these now distributed throughout the city. So, you know, it was actually mailers followed up with conversations, dealing with an engaged community who immediately saw the value of this, and they simply agreed to participate in it. So that's the technical side on how we were able to get the internet connectivity spread throughout our neighborhoods.
Mhm. Businesses have been really receptive to it as well. We have a question. We have friends in Owensboro, Kentucky, that are implementing Footsteps and Clever Kids now through a family foundation. And David, to your point about the PR program, the walking tours, the signs as being critical to the overall program, are there signs this is making it a community value rather than just a school value? That's a really good question. And we'll be doing more surveying over this year to see what that is. And we are still, you know, as much as you have that out there, there are still those who don't connect the dots. I've given presentations before where I'll ask, did you receive this from your child's school? And they'll say, I don't know anything about this. And then when I show them and they see the logos, they go, oh yeah, I remember, but I had no idea. Once they explore the programs and they see what the benefits are, then they get involved. They don't, just the piece of paper does not necessarily share enough information. So interactive things are really important.
Yeah. Also to supplement Mary Kay's answer there, one of the unfortunate things we've seen is that the schools can too easily disassociate themselves from the community that they serve. You know, all of the technical aspects of public education today, the safety considerations, kind of builds a wall between schools and the community. And that's really an unfortunate after effect of the times that we live in. So that's one of the reasons too that we thought making this a community value rather than just a school value would be so important. We want to support the schools. We want to, you know, help them have a better product, if you will, better prepared product when they start with. But it has to be broader than just the public schools. So the public relations campaign is in fact really important. We're not just working with the public schools. We also work with the parochial schools. All the parochial schools use this. We also have schools from the Kenton County School District that are in Covington. At least one of them is using Footsteps for their community. We've also reached out to Head Start and to the daycare centers, and they're using it. One of the really fun things is when you see parents walking their children along at trying to fill out their passport books, doing their ABCs on the little kid height signs that we have spread throughout the city. So, you know, there's a constant reinforcement, and the measurement, the message, and the activities all reinforce each other. They are truly independent of the school district itself, but we are seeing a lot more acceptance of the fact that reading is fun and it's good for the community, and it's a family exercise. And I think it's because we've gone beyond the school system. The yard signs, the small signs, the murals that we've got in several places throughout the city, all send the same message, and it reinforces, everything reinforces each other.
Thank you very much to everyone who joined us today. I'm going to try to save the chat here. I hope I do this correctly. And if not, our contact information is listed here. We would love to hear what people around the country are doing. We can all improve and do things better. And we value your input as well. So thank you for joining us this evening, and enjoy the rest of the EdFest.
Yep. Thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate your attention. Good night, everybody.
Good night. I'm working to save this. I think we still have a few people on. Eileen, are you still with us?
There's still 8 folks on the call.
Yeah, I know. I see everyone's logging off now. They're heading out.
Hi.
Thank you, Ty, for
Thank you, guys. It was
introducing
great.
us. Yes.
It was really fantastic. Thank you so much.
Eileen, did it meet your expectations?
No, it exceeded my expectations. Thank you so much again. Take care.
You're welcome.
Take care. All right.
And the two of you, I will be reaching out to you. I was sending you a item in the chat, but I serve on a school board down in my area and looking to partner with our city to do some more of that connectivity types of things to ensure that everybody has that connection. We can kind of close that divide.
Wonderful. Ty, do you know how I saved the chat in this? It looks different than my.
You go down into the chat. You should see those 3 dots on the bottom right.
The bottom, yeah. That's what I'm.
And
Oh,
then-
there's the save chat.
Yeah.
I was not getting. There we go. I've got it saved. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
It was the obvious. I was not looking at David's. I was starting to reply to his comment too. All right, thank you.
All right. you guys have a
Joy,
good
are
evening.
you speaking? Are you going to be presenting?
Excuse me?
Ty, are you going to be presenting?
No, I'm done. I was a tag along with you guys tonight.
Excellent. All right. Well, you have a great evening.
All right, you as well.
Thank you.
Goodbye.